Recently, YouTuber Mudahar of Some Ordinary Gamers has gotten into controversy when YouTuber Nicandros put out a video against him, accusing him of lying about his status of being an engineer for the last 10 years. Nandros compiles a bunch of different clips of Mudahar saying various titles that he holds, such as software engineer, computer engineer, video engineer, etc., etc. Andros also puts together a timeline of events for what he believes to be Mudahar's adult life, using various statements he's made in videos, live streams, podcast appearances, and more. And according to his research, the timeline doesn't really add up. In response to this, Mudahar actually banned the word engineer from his comment section, and also got an unexpected call from Keemstar while Keem was live on air. And when asked about the allegations, he told Keem to call him off stream. Welcome to the Internet versus Mudahar. To start, I recommend you watch Nandra's video if you haven't already. It'll be linked in the description. And of course, whenever Mudahar puts out a response as well, we will also cover that. But it starts when Andros tweets out his video saying Mudahar has been calling himself an engineer for the past 10 years. Is he one? And Taylor quoted it saying, literally everyone in cybersecurity is a fraud. Like holy. This theory has proven right over and over and over and over. Darkside Flow quotes the video and says, I knew I was right to be suspicious about Mudahar all along. He probably came into Canada as a fake international student who simply never left. He just snuck under everyone's radar with his fake Texas accent. He's been lying this entire time. Andros continues to tweet out, as funny as you guys think you're being, I'd really prefer if you didn't go and leave engineer-related puns in Mudahar's comments. Makes it look like a harassment campaign. And it's C replying, I was waiting for an engineer's opinion on fuel refining. And Brandon says, half of your videos are about the guy in a negative light. I think you're doing the harassment part on your own. At least be a man about it, regardless of the validity of your content. And Indandra says, those videos aren't making any direct contact with him. I just publish media about someone. He can ignore it or not. People going to him and stuff isn't so simple. Bitter Lee says in our members-only Discord, at least with Pirate Software, we know he's been in the industry for 20 years with 6 months of experience. The Sonic Shroom tweets out, saw that video about how Mudahar has been falsely claiming he's an engineer for like 10 years, and my mind is blown. I stopped watching him ages ago. But how could I not notice? Did he really think installing Linux makes you an engineer? And Wish replies, I always thought he was a securities researcher. And Shroom says, he coded phone apps for like 6 months and is a college dropout. Crusader replies, the Indian equivalent of I worked at Blizzard. And Shroom says, hey, at least Thor actually has a degree and did actually work at Blizzard. Muda just seems to be a guy who dropped out of CS, not an engineering degree, by the way, and now flips property in crypto. And it's all good, man replies. He worked at Blizzard because of his daddy and never got a degree. Him and Mudahar are kind of the same. Akuma replies with this picture of Mudahar wearing the Sonichu medallion and says, should have never put it on. Bames J replies, maybe he should have just admitted he uses YouTube as a job and nobody would care outside of his detractors, maybe, I don't know. Nicholas Dorio quote tweets Truman and says, he's going to respond to this, right? If he is an engineer, this would be almost effortless to disprove, and it's gotten too big to pretend he hasn't seen it. I've seen people say Mudahar doesn't owe you anything, which is obviously a total cope response, but they're also completely missing the point. This video got absurdly spammed at me on Discord, YouTube, and Twitter just to even react on stream when it had under 10K views. Now that it's popped off, Mudahar is probably getting flooded. The funniest part is Muda's freak fans calling Nandros a stalker or harmful opinions like racist. Let's say for the sake of discussion that those statements are true. How would that impact their evidence of public Facebook posts and contradictory clips? It's the KFO's video Kiwi Farmer thumbnail controversy all over again. And then he adds Mudahar, saying, happy to clear this up on stream if there's some kind of misinfo being spread about you. Any insight would be great. To Rambar replies, oh boy, me Mudahar here. Turns out I didn't dot my I's and cross my T's in the engineering degree. Before I get into the meat and potatoes of this, I want you to remember that at the end of the day, basically that YouTube is not my job. NPC Jungen quotes Truman, says, IT tech is one of those things you don't need a degree for. It's something you can learn yourself. I don't know why people think having a degree matters. As a teen, my bestie was the neighborhood IT guy, all self-taught, knew all the ins and outs of everything but a girl. Money Folder tweets out, I don't particularly care that Mudahar is a college dropout or any of that. I do think it's insanely embarrassing to lie about your career for a decade straight so you can impress teenagers online. Darkside Flow then tweets out, Mudahar has banned the word engineer from his YouTube comment section. Not suspicious at all. And the Beef replies, I just can't understand why Mudahar is as popular as he is. His content is just him in front of a camera saying the same over and over for 30 plus minutes. I can't think of a more boring content creator. And Darkside Flow replies, I think he used to do some decent investigation style videos on various deep web topics. But the last few years, it seems like all he does is insert himself into literally every YouTube drama. Basically following the Keen playbook. Now he just talks about his ARG ally all day.